When I think about worth, I always think about cost. I think that's the natural like inclination. But the best example I always think about when we talk about worth is like water, right? Like you think how the cost of water at an airport versus water in a restaurant versus water from the grocery store versus water in Africa, where people may not have access to good water. So the cost of water may change, but what it does for the person doesn't, right? So when I think about my own like individual worth relative to like people or creative, it's the substance of what it is and what it can be, not so much the tags that people put on it.
I think it's interesting. All of us are creators here, right? And all of us are artists in our own form. And we're literally, I love someone once said, artists, we print money, like, because we, based on our creation, we create the value to create the work. So when you talk about what is worth to me, it's what I deem it to be, but also what I value myself as, right? And so I think it's interesting as you couple that with the two, the creative and the worth concept, because the two have to collectively merge in a way that doesn't cause you to lose health, but to still continue to rise in value. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind for me is like inherent value. Like our worth is our inherent value. And every individual has it, right? Like we are born worthy. We are um, born in value. And so to sustain that inherent value, which I think many times the world can take away sometimes worthiness. They can't take it away, but there are some things that can like maybe shift perception of what we might think it is, but there's like an inherent value of who we are, an inherent value of the gifts that just like come from within. And so the question that always comes is just like how do we maintain or no, how do we sustain our inherent value through continuing to come from within? Yeah. I am not great at negotiation, but you were going to say?
I just suck at it. Yeah. I mean, because.
Don't use this whole clip.
No, I know, right? No, I mean, like, I think it's hard because you work to a certain point, and and that's why I say the importance of being financially secure, right? Because then, if they're not saying what you want to hear, I'll walk away from it. Like, I don't need it. So, all right, you don't want to do that? All right, I'll find someone that does. So that's why I say I kind of suck at negotiating, because I have the luxury of waiting for the right client.
You don't mind.
I would say I have used exhibitions for the type of work that I do, or creating space that I am. Using that as a baseline of like where I probably could be, should be, or am I right where I'm supposed to be with charging for the value of what I think my art is worth. And not a comparison, but just evaluating other art pieces or other creators' work and the price that they're putting on their work. And does that am I like too far off? If I'm too under, am I too high? In that way. So for me, as I think about that, it would be putting my work in shows or having a mentor or someone come and evaluate the work itself.
I'm a good negotiator. I love negotiations. I think the big thing is like, you need to learn about, the hard thing about creatives is you have to learn about business. Like that's the part that's going to trip you up. Because the thing is, you could be a great photographer, but if you're not working on your business skills, it's going to trip you up every time. So the thing is, it's like, if you want to pitch, and I believe in pitching too. So like, get out and look in the industry, study your client. What do they care about? So the thing is, like, when you're going to ask somebody for money, you have to speak to them in a term of what they care about. So if they're really active about the community, you talk to them about community things and then throw your price up. You have some clients who they don't care anything about anything. They don't care how creative, how much time you put in it, how many hours, your education. They care about what's the ROI. You're like, dang, I don't know what that acronym stands for. You should, right? Like, because you have to. That's the business side. The thing is, the more you can study and learn. So a lot of times as creatives, and I know in my early years of being a creative, I just studied my craft. Like I studied my skill. The thing is, you also have to study business. And you also have to study the clients that you want, because there are certain spaces and rooms where they're expecting a certain caliber of conversation. And they're like, okay, we're going to triple bid this. And then you're like, okay. But it's like, don't let that be the last time you walk out the room and not know what that word means. Because by the time you talk to your next client, you should say, hey, are you interested in triple business? You didn't even know that word 10 days ago, but you have to be an active enough learner about business to be able to survive in these spaces, especially when we desire, like I said, I'm a creative director, like by career. We want these big bids, we want these big contracts, but the thing is, you don't have big bid, big contract language. And the language is the thing that usually separate. It's not the work. Like I've met so many amazing creatives, but the thing is, you don't have the language of an entrepreneur. You don't even have the entrepreneurial hustle to say, hey, I'm gonna go do some research. Let me find out a couple things before you even go in the meeting. Research them. Read what they care about. Why they start this business? Did they start it because their mama used to do hair down at the salon? The mountains that will do in your negotiation tactics take you so far.
Yeah. Like the education, there's a good balance between education and experience. And so education can look so many ways, right? And so I think the education of the research, the figuring it, like the finding the answer, the learning about even your skill or what do you need to even heighten that skill, to then have the experience in what you're seeking as a creative, I think is just like so key. But when I was thinking just around like negotiation, I laugh because I feel like I am not negotiating anything. Like, but it's tied back to value, right? And so I think at first I'm like, I'm not, but I think there was a time that many of us also start out in, and we're just like, we don't understand our value. So like negotiation really isn't even on the table, because if somebody told you that they were going to pay you this, there was no time or space for negotiation. It's like, oh, they've got that to pay me, so that's what I'm going to take. And when I look back at it, I also see it just like even in the conversations with a lot of the creative entrepreneurs that I work with now, it's like, well, I don't know what my value is. What do you think that they're going to pay me? It doesn't matter what they're going to pay you. Actually, it's like, what do you want to be paid? And you move from that standpoint.
You said something that you kind of said, but there was one more thing we got to highlight. An important part is asking what their budget is. I think the biggest mistake I used to make when I first started negotiating, I would show up with a price and they would be like, oh, that's not in my budget.
Yeah.
So I just wasted this whole conversation. You know what I mean? Before you get to the invoice, what is your budget?
Yeah.
Because you got this great idea that you want me to be a part of, but if your budget doesn't match, where are we going with this? So I think that's one of the very first conversations when you do have a negotiation. So I don't really suck in negotiation. No. I mean, that was the biggest mistake I used to make. Is not asking people what they're paying.
And usually you'll do like from like a practical style, you'll usually do like 3 prices. One that's so high that most people cannot obtain. You already know the client can't obtain it. And that's to put them in perspective of what this could be. And then you'll have one that's so low, but it will not meet their needs as a client. Look at us giving all the secrets away. And then there's a middle package that's perfect for the client and it's perfect for you. So usually from a packaging standpoint, you do that. And it just helps the perspective, right? And the thing is, for the budget, I know like my husband, he does like camera work. So I was like, hey, I only have $1,000. For $1,000, you can get this 1 camera. For $1,500, you can get these 2 cameras. For $2,000, you get these 2 cameras and this mic. What do you want? And they have to make that hard decision of like, I only have $1,000. This is what you get for $1,000. I can work with your budget, but you're not getting the fullness of who I am as a creative because you're on a limited budget. And that's okay for you in the season. It's okay for me to be okay with saying that.
The moment the accountant said, this needs to be a business and no longer a hobby, that hit a bit differently. And I was like, oh, but this is a business. No, not the way that it's operating. So just the understanding that there has to be some type of a structure in setting price or setting cost or setting value of the thing that you're offering and holding true to that, because there's a reason why you landed there. Right. And remembering that there's a reason why you landed there, even when things get really busy and full or when things get stressful and you're feeling like we have to like move through things. It's the remembering why that structure, that value set.
I agree. I think of it from the perspective you said hustle, not treating it like a hustle, but treating it like a business. And you look at that structure totally different. Rather than quantity, it's about the quality. And so you're structuring it totally different. as a creator, like you say, you take it very personal, but you have to then get to that space really quickly to go, okay, this is a business and it needs to operate as such. So let me value this thing differently, structure it differently. And I don't have to take every single opportunity that comes my way to just say I had this opportunity or that opportunity, but which one makes sense? Which one makes me feel good? Even if it does come in at a lower cost, on the other end of that, there are 5 other people or 10 other people or hundreds of people that were affected by what I did, rather than me taking 20 different jobs that had no value to it. And so it was getting rid of the hustle mentality of, I got to get it out, I got to get it out, I got to get it out, or I just want people to have my work, and really valuing it differently and looking at it from a business perspective. Because I think sometimes we as creatives don't think of ourselves as a business.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That's the trap.
we don't think of ourselves as an actual business, and we are. Everybody that creates is a business within themselves. So,
And if you don't think of yourself, you will stay that place. Like that.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Like that is that is the place you should run to the fastest. Like when you have the capital, get an accountant. When you have get the people, because if it's not your strong suit, because there have been things I'm like, I'm just not good at this, right? Like this is not my, but those are places that creatives need to run to as fast as they can, because it is going to create a security and a peace of mind. Because not only do you waste money, you waste your brain cells. It's hard to create when you're stressed out. It's hard to create when you're hungry. Like all those things, your creative will not even begin to manifest the way you desire it to, because there's gaps. The quicker you can fill those gaps up, the better creative you'll be.
That's why I was saying it's different when you look at young creatives versus those who've been in the game for a while. Like everything is so much more accessible. If you need an accountant, you could find one. What else you need? Huh? You need to get some marketing? Like, okay, like everything that you need, you could find in your phone in the next 10 minutes.
yeah.
And so that's why I say the younger creatives, I'm not going to say they have it easier, but I am going to say it's easier for them to start up and start to find the path versus we had to dig a little bit. We had to find out who did this and who did that and where am I going to show my stuff and who am I going to sell my stuff to? It's a different kind of game.
Creatives in our area of the world, I'm we have to do better at not gatekeeping so much. We don't want to tell anybody what we charge. We don't want to say what the price is. And it only hurts the industry, because it allows the person that's selling $20 headshots to tank the entire, the efficacy of the work. So the thing is, it's I think I've learned enough the hard way, just I didn't charge the right amount for that. So over the last 10 years, I'm man, I basically was giving away my brain. But one of the things that I do proactively on the other end of it, if somebody asks me what do you charge? This is what I charge. And I also tell them why. So when we talk about creatives coming into the industry now, I'm also explaining them hey, I've been doing this for 10 years. Hey, I understand ROI. Hey, I have a little bit of business sense that I can explain to my client why they're paying this. And I equate value and worth together. But the biggest thing with the industry, especially in that film, creators, it's everybody is so quickly to keep that a secret. It doesn't benefit us to not say what people we charge. It only helps the industry. It only helps to keep all of our rates competitive and high and working together, especially in a city that's as small as we live here in Richmond, but in these smaller cities, there's no benefit to keeping those things secret. There are enough clientele for all of us. But I think for some reason we think if we tell somebody what we charge, we're gonna lose the 2 clients that we have. But maybe if you guys were more open and you talked a little bit more about what the industry standard was, both of you guys could have 10 clients.